In this design, I'm indicating planting by using the Smart Label tool in GCAD+. That's found on the GCAD+ drop-down, and move down here, Smart Plant Label. If I right-click, because I've been using it, notice it pops up on the right-click menu. So let's start it. But before I do, notice on the right-hand side over here how my labels are a little bit higgledy-piggledy. That may not bother you particularly, but some people like, and one of our users asked for this and it's now been incorporated into GCAD+. They like labels placed neatly, and you can do that by making sure that polar is on. The polar switch setting gives you you can go at 90 degrees or 45 degrees or any, and you can even have custom angles if you want. But let's use the Smart Label tool, and we'll click on this plant here. I'll zoom in a little, and if we look down in the command area, select the symbol and hit enter for the next step. So I'll hit enter, and we can label with a leader or a line. I'm going to use the leader. The leader gives you that little blob at the end of it, and we've customized the dimension tool. And I'll hit enter again, input the first line, and as I move away, if you've got eagle eyes, you may be able to see a dotted line appearing at the angle there, so 135, and I just click and we run through a series of choices. Do you want to pick up the code? All the information, of course, is stored with the symbol. Do we want to pick up the botanical name? Yes, we do. Do we want to pick up the common name? I'm saying no. And do you want to pick up the count of selectors? Sometimes you might want to count the number of symbols in the area, although that will be taken care of by the plant schedule tool. No, and in goes the text label, and I'll right click to finish. So Eremophila nivea is now labelled, and all the label lines here are at that 135 degree angle. So here's the symbol. The tag is Eremophila, sorry, the species tag gives you botanical name Eremophila nivea, the common name emu bush, and a code should you need it. And all of that information is and can be gathered and put in the plant schedule. And the plant schedule is, again, all these tools in GCAD+ are run via the GCAD+ drop down menu. So we're going to run a plant schedule, and we did a schedule, a custom content schedule, and it basically asks similar questions, and we'll put up a plant schedule. So this particular Eremophila nivea sits here. It's the emu bush is its common name. It's a small shrub. There's its code, and in the design as it stands at the moment there are two, and I've been playing with the design and adding some more because it's one of my favorites, and I could update the plant schedule, and we'll see if that number 2 increments, and it does 3. So you can work nicely together. There is no need to have it neatly done, but I wanted to show you that the polar tool can be a really useful one. To activate it, go to drafting settings, go to polar tracking. Here's your increment angle. You could change to a shallower angle. Let's have a 30 degree, and we'll go OK, and we'll just kill that, which of course has its own style, its own dimension style. and we'll do it again, and we should get a different angle. Pick, enter, 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 and there's our shallower angle. So I think that we can utilize that just to do things the way that you want to do. One of the changes we need to make in GCAD+, I'm not even sure whether we can do it. We'd like to be able to use modify and match properties, and I'd like to be able to match the properties of this tag here. I'll pick it and then match it to this one. You can see it's not actually changing, but there's some illustrations of some of the subtlety that we deal with GCAD+, where everyone has their own particular style of labelling symbols. While I'm continuing to put some smart label tags in here, what I want to illustrate one useful trick is if I wanted to label these plants under here. Remember, we've set up an existing symbol for a eucalypt and we're looking down through it, so it's got some transparency in it. If I try and pick one of these symbols, notice it picks the symbol that's above, and so that's what I've done here in order to label that Adenanthus. So I need to reverse it, so you can change the order very quickly, the stacking order, and under Tools, Draw Order, you've got considerable choice here. We want to bring that symbol back to the front. Of course the label stays. So let's do one final one here, Smart Label. We'll pick this symbol, and it tells you, if we come down here, please select a symbol that's already assigned to a record in the attached GCP file. So we've found a symbol that's in the drawing. It looks very similar to this one here, but it should have a different species associated with it. One useful tool that's in the GCAD+ drop-down menu at this stage is to go GCAD+ Plant Schedules and show symbols with names, and note this one doesn't show up, so it's a very useful little aid to check. And most of you, I know, would know how to assign a plant name to a symbol, but let's just do it here. We're going to set data to a plant, then right click to finish. So we're going to select this symbol, and up pops the GCAD+ list, the GCP file that's associated with the drawing, and I'll just widen it because I'd be looking for a species here that is, let's say, a medium shrub. So you could use Lobelia grandiflora, but let's shuffle on the basis of type. So we scroll down in the large shrub. Well, let's have a medium shrub that might work for us in here. This Leucodendron is a nice species, so we'll OK that. Now when we go GCAD+ and show symbols with names, that one is in the list, so at that point we can use the Smart Label tool and we can pick it, and no warning comes up. We're going to use a leader, and off we go. And here, can you see that if I use the same angle, I'm going to have some difficulty in squeezing it in. So let's pop it just there, and in it goes. And because these are controlled by the dimension style, I can just move things around. like so, still keeping the same angle, so I've got very nice control over where things go here. You might, at this stage, because we need this space, you might consider moving the scale bar around just a little. So I hope that gives you a good idea of some of the tools that you use when you are labelling species. You don't have to label in this particular way, but the Smart Label tool was developed in response to quite a number of user requests. Well, I move to the other side of the drawing where things are nice and neatly arranged, but there are times when if you move to your display, and it's not the case here, let's look at our layout, we do have enough room and things are now, the tags, the smart labels are looking good, but if we come back here, there are times when you want to squeeze some more room in the display, so you can pick here and dive into the contents, and if you needed to get tighter labeling, you can just add a return in there, and then line space factor is 0.5 by default, so let's drop it back to 0.4 and that looks fine. I hope that's given you a good introduction to the use of the Plant Label tool.